Simple answer. That is the most challenging part. You have raised a right question, that my mind does not stop receiving the pleasure because the doer is inside and the doer is why we do any activity? To become the enjoyer. So doer and the enjoyer, they continue to do the karma, they continue to gather impressions. So when they continue to gather impressions, it creates attachment and detachment. Attachment and detachment is caused by the likes and dislikes. And likes and dislikes in my mind takes place because I'm not thinking. I like it, that is okay, but I don't question why I like it. So when I don't question, then I enter into the duality. See one example. You see, that is what we say, I understand intellectually, but I cannot translate because I am a non-thinker. So now see that likes and dislikes, so I am a non-thinker. Non-thinker, take one example, causes the duality. Take one example. We have understood that there is a real self. We have understood there is a real self is all pervading. We have understood that it is a pure consciousness which cannot be divided, which do not change. Right? I have understood.
Yeah.
This object gives me pleasure. So I have already divided. When I say there is only one reality, and mind says here you get the pleasure, I have already discarded that understanding. There is no two. I'm giving you some higher tips. So you see that there is no two. Why? And then the mind goes back and it claims, I have understood intellectually, but there is no but. Where is the but? When there is only one reality, and my mind claims, here is an object of pleasure, so I have already divided one reality into two because of non-thinking. I stop thinking, get the pleasure, finish it, come back, and then I say, yes, I have understood. Are you joking? Do you see that? I have to think. That is last time I said Karma Yoga has to be done. First, the Jnana Yoga should be there in the mind. What a beautiful picture. My mind raises feeling of sensuality. So, let me think. Let me think first. Let me think. Why people fail in meditation? It is because of this. Not because that, I could not remain still. Don't be still. Continue walking and running, doing every activity. You can still be in meditation.
But one more point not clear for me. So any action have to be proposed to the God. Any fruit of the actions.
Two things.
But it's also duality.
Yes, we are dissolving the duality that gathers the impression from another duality until the mind becomes clear and doubt-free, knowledge is settled. First answer. Second answer, we have to act 24/7. There is no remedy to stop the action. Action is life, life is action. So, how to align all our actions to the real self? So, it means first I should have a knowledge. What is the reference point for my every action? It is the world outside for pleasure, for egoistic demand, for desire to be fulfilled, or the real self. So the reference point is the real self. That is why I offer my doer and the enjoyership to the God, to the existence, along with the fruit. It does not mean that I don't get a fruit. Because I am performing an action, I have to get the reward. But I am offering by thinking so that I do not gather more impressions because of the fruits that I get as a reward. So I am breaking the chain. Breaking the chain. Karma I have done. Today I'm not satisfied. Okay, let me do it again. So I have to do it again. Today I am totally satisfied. Mind says, okay, you are totally satisfied, so you have to do the karma like this. Again you are repeating, you are again gathering a momentum in the mind. So the mind will remain outside. So the mind should not remain outside. We offer everything to the existence. By thinking only. Can't you think? You have been thinking. So first you have a clarity now. You ask the question, you have a clarity. Pleasure, very good, pleasure. Okay, it's very good. Last time when I had the pleasure, yes, last time I had the pleasure, I forgot myself. Okay, were you satisfied? Yes. So why you are seeking it again when you are satisfied? So I am repeating again because of non-satisfaction. So I started thinking. So from a non-thinker, I started thinking. You think and you enter into it. Any pleasure. Tena tyaktena bhunjitha. There is a beautiful, who enjoyed can only renounce. Who enjoyed the pleasure can only drop the pleasure. But that enjoyment should be clear inside my head. What is this enjoyment? So what is that enjoyment? It is a projection of the mind. There is nothing more than projection of the mind. You are married to Miss Universe, or you are married to an ordinary girl. Tell me, is pleasure different in these two women or men? I projected, my mind projected only. What is projected? Both are women. One woman as projected as Miss Universe. What it means? Beauty. Do you enjoy beauty in sex? I become a non-thinker. That is why my mind goes for pleasure. Now see, so inside the body what is there? 9 holes brings out the dirtiest thing every day in the morning. Oh, that is where I get the pleasure. So we go to the extreme. Masters go to the extreme. They say, okay, you are enjoying a pleasure where every day cream doesn't come out from the nose. When you wake up in the morning, every hole is so dirty. You have washed it, cleaned it every day, and still it becomes dirty. That is how you give a break to the mind seeking pleasure. then the mind objects another thing. Then why I am earning money? To give it to me. So you are earning money to share. You use those resources, you are not attached to the resources, you are using those resources to help you evolve. To share. So then you see that I have lot of money, I have money in abundance. No problem. Whether I have $5 or whether I have $100. So what happens? What is happening? Now understand, I'm picking up very subtle principles. Basically the servant of the mind is prana. And the prana is caught always in the pleasure. Because at this moment, the prana does not know the real happiness lies within. So the mind uses the prana for the sake of the pleasure. In that case, this prana does not allow us to go within. That is why we say by breathing we purify the mind. You see, from the reference point of kundalini and etc., etc. But when I understand these moments clearly, what is happening into the mind? How? Understanding comes by how? Your understanding of the pleasure came by thinking. So, the understanding of getting away from the pleasure will also come by thinking. The locus is the same. The locus is the mind. Mind is obsessed with the pleasure, thoughts. So I introduce another set of thoughts. Oh, you are the doer. Forget about the doer. What you are doing, No, I'm seeking a pleasure. The mind says I'm seeking a pleasure. Come on, is pleasure outside? Or are you projecting the pleasure? So I started thinking like this. And then I then I go to the same restaurant. I have the resources, so I eat the same thing. But now, when you are eating, you are happy because you are eating, but that pleasure part is missing. In the food, happiness, joy is inside. That is why we have to get rid of this ego that I am the doer. We have to get rid of the idea of getting a fruit's result from a particular action. Do you see the entire circle? Do you see that entire circle? So once we have that circle broken, we break the circle that will cause the cycle of birth and death. Cycle of birth and death is that one pleasure is dead, it gives rise to another pleasure. Why? Because I am a seeker. I am a doer. I did it. I was happy. So that is why we have to break this doership. And in reality, it is a wrong notion that I am the doer. It's a false notion. My mind is keeping it for so many millions of years, for many births, that I am the doer. So when I am the doer, I am doing the karma. I am doing the karma, I am gathering the impressions, sanskaras. So in those sanskaras, I have merit and demerit. And merit and demerit gave me this body. So I have to exhaust those sanskaras every day, not to create more. So because I have not to create more, so here is a tool. See that? Look from the other point of view, that the world is outside. Am I very clear? World is outside. But experiences of the world lives in my mind. I have a choice. I have a choice to accept it. If it is right, I will accept it. If it is not right, I will not accept it. Finished. I experience you in my mind. You cannot enter into my mind. I experience pleasure, I experience pain, I experience likes and dislikes all in the mind. So now I am examining by thinking. It, we always say the pain enters from the back door, but peace is a matter of choice. Happiness is a matter of choice. How the choice comes, I have to use the intellect. I have to become a thinker. So when you say that, no, I cannot hold back myself from the pleasure, I'm a non-thinker. I'm extremely genius in my business, but in my personal life, Bill Gates. You see that, Bill Gates? Look at it. I have to understand it clearly again and again and again and again. That is why we say that Shravanam is required. Why? Mind should become free from the doubt. What is the doubt? I am the real self, full of peace and happiness, but I get a lot of pleasure in my sexual pleasure, in my eating pasta, in buying a new car, etc., etc. You do everything. We are not saying. But remove the false notion that you have a pleasure that you receive from outside. We are saying that much. We are not saying don't stop working.
But when I am doing the exercise japa meditation, so I just concentrate on particular part of my body, my attention, and I feel I have feeling, sensation in this part of the body. So it means that I am able to produce sensation in any part of my body.
Yes.
It means that if any external object produces some sensation in my body, I have power to change it.
Yes, I have a power to change it.
So, but in this case, I still feel myself like doer. So even if I produce some sensation in my body to using some special tantra practices, I control the prana, and so in this case I still doer.
That is why we say we have to offer this doer to the existence in my thought. So when I offer this doer or I-ness in my thought and continue doing the same thing, I first break the chain in my mind of wrong notion, of false notion. First step. Second step, if I continue doing it, mind awakens that happiness is not outside. Pleasure is short-lived. Mind wants to repeat it, even if it is happy or unhappy. So it is gathering these impressions, and they become sanskaras. I become a non-thinker. So whether you start from I-ness, the doer, why one is a doer? Ask yourself. Because I want to be enjoyer. Very clear. So I want to be enjoyer with a particular person, with an object, or Miss Universe, or Melinda Gates. No, not Melinda Gates. 27 years. He's a genius, he's a genius. 27 years he lived loveless life. Means I'm still living with you, I'm doing everything, not for the sake of enjoyment, but for the sake of suffering. What a great man he is. No, he's a genius. I appreciate his work. But you see, it is because of non-thinking. Now reverse this process. Why shouldn't I have a pleasure? I have been doing it for 27 years. Just reverse the situation. So in both the cases, I'm a non-thinker. I don't see the reality. Why? Happiness is not outside. Is it not clear? Happiness is not outside. But something happens. What is something happens? The delusion. That is the word we use. The delusion takes place in the mind. Mind is obsessed. It triggers you for a desire, to have a desire fulfillment by an object, by a person, by a thing, by the things of the world. But the pleasure, happiness is not there in the world. Pleasure is definitely there. We are not saying pleasure is not there. But if we are happy with the pleasure, why practice meditation? We should not sail in two boats at the same time. You see the clarity of understanding. Even in scientific experiment, we choose ultimately, we have many options. We choose this one is okay. And we follow that. No, but after all, I am tired totally. I go back to the pleasure. How many times you did it in your life? Simple. If we are a non-thinker, this karma yoga destroys us. It makes us unhappy. It causes stress. It causes anxiety. It makes me fully busy. It brings the fatigue and the tiredness. It gives me so many sicknesses. I can list, there's a long understanding. There's a very deeper understanding about this. Only with one principle, the Jnana Yoga should be there and Karma Yoga should be done outside. Yesterday I had a session at 3:30. So a guy is wonderful. I met him many a times. So he thought, he heard from somebody, no, he is very deep. And I said, okay, he may be coming for pleasure. For a couple of sessions, he'll get frustrated if he's seeking pleasure. Or simply intellectual understanding. So he missed the session. He was busy in his business. So I waited for 25 minutes and then I said, it's okay, no worries, we will meet next week. Now see what happens. So he sent an email that I'm extremely sorry, I was aware, but I was hooked up in a meeting. So I will pay definitely for this session. I said, I don't expect that. You should pay me for that session. But you have to see that you are a seeker. I need that only. If you don't pay me, it will come from someone else. But at the same time, I appreciate your genuine concern and kindness. Now, what happens in this case? That he should have thought the otherwise. What the heck, I'm busy in the meeting, why should I? That's why, I could not attend. So I will attend the session next week. It should have been. But it shows there is some trigger, the right trigger in his mind. It's not the money factor. It is right concern. I am very much concerned. He wrote a very good email. So we are definitely meeting next week. So what I do simply in a group session also, I told you also that I remain almost 5 or 10 minutes before the session. So when the people realize this, a lot of people join. Other people join at the same time. Both are good. But other people join after 10 minutes. They are also good. What I have to do with it? So now see that I was giving a metaphor just before your session. Understand that also. This is a very good metaphor. We have a very beautiful text based on this metaphor. These flowers of different colors, different fragrance, are nothing but the different text of Eastern wisdom. It comes with a different flavor, fragrance, beauty. The honeybee is a seeker. Honeybee. So if you are a honeybee, you sit on a particular flower and you gather honey. And you realize the real self. So every flower has honey. Oh, now you see that we find different types of honey. This flower honey, that flower honey. Come on, fly and the mosquito also sits on the flower. Now see, so there are different types of people. What I have to do with it? You are a fly, you are a honeybee, you are a mosquito. What should I do? You are a spider. They also jump on the flower. But they don't see that honey in that. Only the honeybee can gather the honey. So you are a seeker. So we enjoy our life. You have come, very good. You don't come, that is also good. But because I'm committed to doing the karma without getting the doership, because I'm doing the karma in the world, I will definitely get the reward. Less or more. Who cares? Who cares? So you see that karma, many. Doership, I do not think. I have to be a thinker. We are a great thinker in our business, in our relationship, in guiding and preaching others, but we are not a thinker to ourselves. So by doing the first step of Shravanam, mind and intellect are constantly hammered, guided. How long you have to be dictated by your own sanskaras, that is making you the doer and the enjoyer. That is making you the doer and the enjoyer. So in order to, it means I'm not the doer. Find out your contribution of being a doer. We discussed before. Are you seeing me? No, my eyes are seeing. Who recognizes me that I am giving you a lesson? Your mind. So where are you? Are you listening? No, your ears are listening. Tell me what is your contribution? So understanding that the doer is nothing but a false notion created by the mind that I am the doer. When you say I am a listener, is it not a thought? And what you are listening is also a thought. So you have divided one thought, I am, other thought, principle. Both are the thoughts. What's the difference? Tell me the difference. Look at the deeper level of awareness. These masters have created these principles. J. Krishnamurti picked up this principle in a very deeper way. That's why first time he says, I am not a teacher. Then he says that if I am a thinker, you also become a thinker. So when we both become a thinker, the thought dissolves. Thought of a thinker dissolves, and that I dissolves. That is what the choiceless awareness is. See that? For the sake of convenience, for the language is the sake of communicating. Language is not the means, not an instrument for knowledge. So every thought contains a knowledge. I am the doer, where you are the doer. When I say I am the doer, very good. Find out the knowledge that I am the doer. You find no one inside you. And now see the other part. I do because of enjoyer, not like Bill Gates. For 27 years I have been doing it just to have lot of pain and suffering in my life. Now I reach to climax, so hence I am leaving. Very good. So you are doing for enjoyer, right? For seeking pleasure. Now tell me which part of you gets the pleasure.
But
Which part? Tell me.
sense organs and mind, and then ego. It's all what it can.
Sense organ get the pleasure. Again question. Does the sense organ get the pleasure?
Mind is yes, mind is interpreted like pleasure.
You are right, perfectly right. Mind gives a false interpretation that there is a pleasure, but it is not. So, am I enjoyer? Question is, main question, that am I really an enjoyer?
Yes, but it connected with understanding what is good and what is bad for my mind, and all my life is running around this pleasure.
So, is it a false notion or a right notion?
It's false notion, but all human civilization is playing in this game.
That is why 99.9% people are suffering.
Yes, I understand that.
They do
as
not.
Soon as there is pleasure, automatically there is suffering.
There is a suffering. That's why they are suffering. So that's why the human civilization is like that, and that is why we have yoga and the Eastern wisdom to show us a path to evolve, to accelerate the process of evolution. You experience the pleasure 100% here and now in a particular object, so that next time this mind will not return to repeat the pleasure. One option. Second option, that you through the knowledge understand that this pleasure is nothing but a projection. It is a false notion. First is the false notion that the pleasure is present outside in an object, and second thing, that I am the enjoyer. Neither I am the enjoyer and nor pleasure is present in any object of the world outside. So in both ways it is possible. One path is tantra, other path is pure, we can say the path of the knowledge. Who knows, if you are a honeybee, then you will neither destroy the flower and you will awaken to yourself. You simply connect the pleasure part in an object while engaging yourself in the pleasure. That is the path of tantra. It demands a very higher level of awareness. You are engaged in a pleasure. You means your body, sense organ, the mind, but still you are fully aware that you are different from the body, mind, sense organs. So when you are already different from it, I'm not the enjoyer. So when I'm not the enjoyer, why the hell I'm doing all this stuff? So you do not control, but you become a thinker first. And that gives you the knowledge, that gives you the understanding. And next time you are going for a pleasure, now you are repeating the pleasure with awareness, with a higher level of awareness. So what happens? First time you eat pasta, 100% pleasure. Second time, 90%. Third time, 80, then 70. 10th time you say, I'm not eating. But because of social restrictions, it is not possible with many men and women for seeking the pleasure. For pasta, it is possible. So same example can be applied here. So you see that there are 2 or 3 main basic paths. You engage outward, you are fully engaged. Inside, you are awakened. Who is enjoying? Who is the enjoyer? Where is the pleasure? I don't see the pleasure in me because I'm none of this body, mind, sense, organs, etc. Done. Second is, you start, instead of suffering more, you start from knowledge. Am I the doer and enjoyer? No, I'm not. So now you are aware. You see the pasta, you like it, you enjoy it. Mind says it gives you the pleasure, but you have already understood it. Pasta is in front of you. You eat it, but with awareness, clarity. I'm not the doer. Now see, a simple principle. I'm not the doer. I'm not seeking the fruits of an action. What is the fruit? Pleasure. So when you are thinking like this and you are still eating, the time comes, mind says, today is rice, let me eat it. You awaken the principle in you because you have gathered the honey. So you awaken to the principle. What principle? Do you remember? Eat to live or live to eat. So now you have more happiness in eating anything. Anything means, that is more or less eatable. That is eatable. So you are happy. There is another path, I remember. So you have to, now I'm just making the clear on the Karma Yoga. Gyan Yoga must be first. What is Gyan Yoga? Because the mind is obsessed with the false and the wrong notion, it continues the cycle. I have to break the cycle of these thought pattern that I'm getting a pleasure from the object outside. How I have to break the cycle? By thinking. So I have separated the right thinking and the wrong thinking. The viveka comes. So now there are very greatest level of seekers. I could not do it because of the temperament. Because of your sanskaras. I followed another path, which I am going to explain to you. I met couple of tantra masters who are known as aghoris. One in a state of Assam. I lived with him. He used to go to the cremation ground and the half-burned bodies of the human being were left and he used to eat that. He's no more now. He used to eat that. I used to see him, but I said, why should I ask any question that why he is eating? This is his business. But I wanted to know what kind of a sadhana it is. That was my interest. So he said that whenever a single thought comes of a pleasure seeking in the world in eating, I have to crush and destroy that mind seeking pleasure by eating flesh. Otherwise, there is no other reason. I have to see if the mind has become my perfect servant. What I say, mind should accept it, mind should move with it, mind should live with it. In order to do that, I need a very strong heart, very strong will, and that he used sometime what he used to drink, his urine, only because of crushing the mind. So that has its side effects on the body also, not on the mind, but he's totally focused on the mind. Including that he used to lie down on the floor, on the grass in a simple cottage, and he used to tell me that you need not to talk to me for 5 hours, and he was simply lying on the floor, on the grass, raining, mosquito bites, flies, as if he's totally dead. It all depends on the mind. You have to remove those sanskaras. So you are removing the sanskaras that creates the false notion with the right sanskaras that the mind can be changed, mind can be transformed. And then I said, sometime when he is not doing these practices, I used to cook rice and lentil. He said, Master, are you ready? Yes, I will eat it. So he used to eat without any expression of likes and dislikes. He wanted to cut completely all the sanskaras from the mind. That is also possible. But we have to follow the 16 steps of the Tantra tradition. It is known as 16 acharas. And it's a very tough examination in those 16 steps. He followed the same principles of Eastern wisdom. There is one Tantra text which explains all these 16 acharas. So I asked him that how long you did it. He said, no, it took me almost 4 to 5 years. So I had a sense of awareness that can pick up the pleasure-seeking mind. And then I treat mind as an enemy. I have to destroy it with awareness, without any invitation of likes and dislikes, hatred and love. So for him, eating a flesh and eating rice and lentil are just the same. Mind does not make any difference. It is the mind that makes the difference. Mind makes the difference. Here is a Miss Universe, here is an ordinary girl. It's a mind interpretation of the mind. So understand that, understand the most beautiful part that from the Tantra tradition, that what I feel with reference to any object or a person or a thing in the world outside based on the interpretation of my mind. So I have to check if this interpretation is right or false. So once I have understood that it is false, then I have to work on dropping the false. So you come to the same conclusion that I am neither the doer or the enjoyer. And neither I am seeking the fruits of an action. Who is seeking the fruits of an action? Now pick up another principle. You have to assimilate all these principles. Who is seeking what fruit I get? I work hard, I get the money. Who gets the money? Who is this guy? In you, who gets the money? Money is the fruit of action. Who gets the money?
The mind.
It's the mind. It's a mind with a false notion. But then the masters came with a clarity of understanding that can you do karma without sato, rajo and tamoguna? It rules the world. Sato, rajo and tamoguna. Do I have a choice to follow sato guna? Yes. Do I have a choice to follow rajo guna? Yes. Do I have a choice to follow tamoguna? Yes. Let us make a fair choice. Let us make a fair deal with these three gunas. So, sato guna, knowledge and happiness. Okay, I have to follow the knowledge, the wisdom plus happiness in this particular activity. Clear? So, am I aware before, during, and after any karma? Am I in peace and happiness? You come to the same conclusion. Whether you say, drop the doership, give it to the existence, or leave the fruits of an action from your mind. You get the fruit, but your mind is not thinking about it. So you get the same result. Knowledge is more important. What is the knowledge in doing this particular action? For example, eating food. So knowledge is eat to live or live to eat. Live to eat, satoguna. Constantly eating the same thing, rajoguna. Eating the stuff that you should not be eating, tamoguna. That causes the problem. That, you see, my friend, one doctor was saying that more people die because of mal-eating, overeating, than people die due to hunger. Look at it, the beauty of these principles. Knowledge and cheerfulness. I will eat. Before eating, I am happy. Yes, while eating, I am happy because live to eat, not eat to live. So eat to live constantly makes me crazy, running after the same restaurant again and again. Eating the same food again and again, I lose the interest and I pick up the something else. And my aim of my life is eat. Why? To live. What we say, there is a phrase, eat, drink and be merry. That is the goal of my life. Eat, drink, be merry. Same thing, same principle. Rati, trapti and tushti. No doubt, mind, because of the habit, experiences satisfaction for a moment. But it starts running again because it is unsatisfied. Again, I go back to 27 years of unsatisfaction. You should have realized before. How you can realize? By thinking. There is no other option. Other options are there. Tantra way is there. So he said, no, I need not to think too much. I said, this is the path of the knowledge. He said, yes, in the 16 acharas, 16 steps, we have a little of it. That you have to crush the mind. Simple understanding, pleasure is not outside. Mind is running outside because it wants to be our enemy. That is why it is running outside. So I have to destroy this mind. Which mind? Mind with these false notions. You do not destroy the mind. Mind with these false notions. that this food will give me a good nutrition. You see that we have a balanced diet, we have a nutrition experts entire in the world, and still more people die because of eating food than hunger. We have a nutrition expert, we talk about balanced diet, we talk about calories intake. It does not mean that we should not apply that knowledge in our daily life. It does not mean. We are not saying knowledge is knowledge. So even if you apply that knowledge of the modern science in regarding the food, nutrition, calories, it helps. So where it helps at the level of your body. Use it. But don't forget what you are searching. You see that? Don't forget what you are searching. We are living in a modern time. I'm a yogi, so I should not use smartphone. Don't use it. Go to the Himalayas, live in a cave. Knowledge is knowledge. We should use the resources, what has been offered at this time by the knowledge offered by the science. But at the same time, I study Eastern wisdom to study myself. That is the goal. I study science to know the world outside. Pleasure, luxury, comfort, illness, suffering, all together. Study science. Transcend all of them, study Eastern wisdom. Another way, when you study Eastern wisdom, then you extract the knowledge from the modern science that is helpful to you. So what is that? In a broader sense, that is viveka. That is viveka, and viveka leads to dispassion. So you have started thinking, you have separated, now pleasure is not there, you have separated. So that very separation is vairagya. That very separation is vairagya. Like you, one intelligent guy from India, he's also very intelligent. Like you, he's almost like you, a businessman. He said, Sir, you are right. Guruji, you are right. I can understand. Now see what he says. That is how the mind tricks you. Sir, I have understood. I'm doing meditation. I'm your student. I said, come on, what is your question? But sir, when I look at my wife, I see in her eyes she is demanding. What should I do at that time? I said, you are crazy. Your interpretation that she wants a pleasure. This is your interpretation. No, I am 100% confirmed. That I said, that is also your interpretation. Do you see that? Do you see the truth in it? That is also your interpretation. I am sitting on a beach and the water is saying that now I am coming to you in a storm. Come on. Come on. That is your interpretation. That is the interpretation given to you by the mind. It means what? You still have a seed of desire seeking pleasure from her. So why the hell you are asking me? Why should I come in between you and me? So I said, sit in a temple. You are a devotee of Durga. And see Durga and tell me, is Durga also asking something from you? Sir, What are you saying? I said, I'm saying you 100% right. If you can find out what your wife is seeking, you can also find out what the Durga is expecting from you. What Saraswati, Goddess Saraswati is expecting from you. One thing to be sure. Are you sure that Durga and the Saraswati are more beautiful than your wife? Yes, sir. So sit, sir. Sit before them, sir, and find out. Mind goes to that level of craziness. It always tries to rationalize. And that rationalization becomes a habit and behavior and attitude of my mind. I have seen in my life, I've experienced, I checked it, and I said, done. That is lost. Finished.
First, draw your pattern to unlock the device.
So when you had done with that level, what happens? The best part happens that you are happy all the time. Pleasure converts into peace. And that pleasure, when it converts into peace, it leads to the joy and the happiness inside. Now you're still living. You can say living in relationship, but now this relationship gradually converts into a mutual trust, a faith, caring and sharing. It converts into sharing. I'm closing the audio and then I will tell you it's not required, these stuff.